But a lot of people are so quick to say, you know, drugs are horrible, like don't do drugs, like don't do mushrooms or anything like that, and then they like binge drink like all weekend, you know, and the outcome of that is just like numbing yourself and having a hangover. So
that's offensive.
So you're stuck in like a unit with people who you can't speak English to.
I literally go from like paying someone's rent, buying someone a new phone, to like, y'all want an ant farm? Like, that's my brand.
Fox News saw that I was in New York and I posted on Instagram. They literally emailed me for all the rights to it. I went viral. It was on every news station out there.
Hello, everybody. My name's Adelia. Welcome back to That's Offensive, where people get offended by everything I fucking do. So today we have a wonderful guest. Her name is Bianca. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited. Hello, I'm Bianca Taylor. I'm a coach, entrepreneur, creator. I do a lot of things that also offend everybody.
Love to hear it. So to start this off, to get us both loosey-goosey, because I think we're both a little nervous, I want to see who you'd fuck, marry, kill, but you have to kill two people.
Oh, okay.
So it's a little different because a few people came to mind.
Okay.
So there's Miley Cyrus, there's The Rock, there's Chris Evans in Sailor Moon. I thought I was just going to throw a fictional character in there.
Oh, damn. Okay, this is a tough one. So I have to kill two of them.
Yeah.
And I can marry one.
You can marry one and you can fuck one.
Okay, I think I will marry Chris Evans, fuck Sailor Moon, kill the other two.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. I'm a little lost now. But fair enough. Okay, great. So with you being here, you literally do so many things. Really great businesswoman. So explain where you got to where you are today.
Yeah, so let's see. So a couple years ago, I was working for a marketing company full time, and I was miserable, was not happy, was not fulfilled, was not living aligned with my purpose. And at the time, I was also competing in competitive bodybuilding, and that's where I found my love for fitness and nutrition. And so one day I quit. I decided to become an entrepreneur and create a coaching business. A couple years later, I teamed up with two amazing partners. One's a software developer. The other one also did bodybuilding and social media. Is actually my boyfriend. And we started a company called veganfitness.com. And that was such a journey. And that's where I really began my entrepreneurial journey. And then from there, I realized I loved coaching people, but I especially loved working with women and helping women find confidence and align with their purpose and, you know, break habits of, you know, self-destruction, so to speak.
Yes.
And so I continued doing more of that. And along the way, I also started doing, you know, more social media, more modeling, you know, creating exclusive content and all of the above. I've also co-founded a supplement company. And yeah, I've done so many different things.
Amazing.
Here I am.
What she's failing to mention is she can twerk better than anyone here. She was like doing the splits, going like Cardi B up in this bitch. So twerk. She's also a twerk instructor.
Also, yeah. I have twerk tutorials on YouTube. Yeah, it's so much fun. I love twerking. I love pole dancing. I love dancing because I danced before I did any of this. You know, I grew up dancing and doing theater, so that's my first passion.
Perfect. So before you became an entrepreneur and all the things, I know that me and you had talked a little bit about how you kind of hit rock bottom and that was where your motivation was to do all the things you were doing. So can you elaborate on what that journey was like?
Yes, for sure, because that was such a huge part of my journey. So like I said, I was working for this marketing company and I was 20 years old at the time. And when I quit, I didn't have a plan. I just had some money in my bank account saved up and I was just going to figure things out as I went. And I had just moved out and then I was hit by a drunk driver while my car was parked on the side of the road. So I pulled my car over because the engine was overheating. I got hit by a drunk driver who completely swerved off the road, totaled my car. My back was slightly injured, so I couldn't train. I didn't have any transportation. And then I didn't have enough money. Like after trying to use money to like go to the hospital and do all of these different things, I was just really low on funds. And I was living with a friend at the time. She didn't even have a guest bed, so I was sleeping on the floor in a sleeping bag. And that's when I just felt just the worst. I also realized at the time that my confidence in myself, in my body, and my self-image was at its lowest. And I had a moment where I looked at the bank account and I had like not even $10 to my name. That was all I had, no car. And I just knew I had to figure it out. And I really felt in my soul that my finances were a reflection of what I was feeling. It was a manifestation of feeling completely just low about myself, not having confidence, not believing in myself, not loving myself. And so I decided I was going to start doing real fucking work and working on myself. And my self-development journey has coincided with my entrepreneurial journey. So it's the deeper I go with layers of self-development, the more money I make, the more successful I become as well. And so that's why it's so important to me for people to know about self-development.
Yeah. So how would you say, because I think a lot of people struggle with this, and she's also my life coach, so we left that out. So she's helping me with this too, where you find that confidence in yourself to go for it. Yeah. So how were you able to find that confidence, and how do you suggest other people find that confidence?
Yeah. So confidence, is something that we have to find from within. And it's so common for us to think that we have to reach for confidence outside of ourselves. And especially for women, we are taught that we need external validation. We need to be told that we're doing a good job, that we are pretty, that we're pretty enough or skinny enough. And then we think that gives us confidence, but it actually gives us really shallow, inauthentic confidence. It doesn't give us deep, authentic confidence that comes from our core. Yeah. And the difference between the two is shallow confidence is reliant on other people, and it's shallow, it's based on materialism, it's based on your body, which is forever changing, which deep authentic confidence comes from within, and it's something that can't be shaken. So no matter if you're failing at life, if you lost your investments or whatever you're going through in your life, you still have a strong sense of confidence in who you are. So finding that goes along with just your journey of getting to know yourself and understanding where your insecurities came from. Because if we understand where something came from, if we can build awareness around that, then we can redo the programming of our brain, essentially. Yeah. Because when we are children, pretty much up to the age of 7, we accept that everything that we see and witness and experience is truth. So if we grow up watching our mom look in the mirror and say, oh, I'm so fat, or I need to lose weight, then we start to internalize that, and we believe that anything that's, that looks this way is bad or unacceptable. And then it's really difficult to undo that programming. So when it comes to cultivating deep, authentic confidence, it comes with going backwards. And, you and I talk a lot. I ask you a lot of questions. I'm like, let's figure out where you first started feeling like this so that we can get to the root of it and eradicate it, and then create a completely new narrative about how you feel about yourself.
Yeah. So you said that authentic confidence comes from, regardless if you're failing, doing other things, etc. So I know a lot of people find their confidence when they're like working hard, doing stuff for themselves, etc. So do you think that is a good way to start finding your confidence, or how do you think about that?
So it's a really tricky subject, because if our confidence is reliant on our successes, it's still coming from an external source. Because again, material things, money, achievements and accomplishments, those things are not nothing in life is permanent, right? Everything can be changed in an instant. You can be killing it at your job. You see it all the time with celebrities who are just living on top on the cover of Forbes, and all of a sudden they have a scandal and they lose everything. And it's definitely that's where your confidence will be tested. So I don't recommend relating your self-worth to your productivity output, because that's kind of what's going on there, right? It's like, oh, I work really hard, I'm getting all these things done, and so I feel really good about myself. And that's tying your self-worth to that external source, which is your productivity. So if you can recognize that and you can make peace with it, you can start to it's great to feel good about yourself if you're accomplishing things, but it's important to just have an understanding of that, so that if you if something goes wrong in your life or your business or your accomplishments, that you don't completely fall apart.
Okay. That's great advice, because that's something I think I do a lot, and I feel like a lot of other people can relate to, because people are like, well, I'm making this amount of money, so that means I'm confident and I'm successful. But then they break a bone or they lose, then where does their confidence go? Then they stop believing in themselves. It like goes to depression and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So where in your like success, so you started growing your fitness Instagram quite a few years ago. Where was that process to starting your OnlyFans and starting all of these other businesses?
Yeah. So let's see. I started actually putting intention into my Instagram in like 2015 or so. And then in 2017 was when I started to realize that I've always admired sexy photography. Like I love boudoir photography and glamour photography. And so I started doing more of that and posting it. And over the years, my Instagram following continued to build, and it wasn't necessarily making me any money. I was making money from my fitness coaching and helping people, with meal plans and things like that. So in 2019, that was when the way that I found my way to OnlyFans was I kept on hearing about it. And I honestly was one of those people who's like, I don't need to do that because I make money another way.
Yeah.
I don't no disrespect to the girls who do that, but that's not for me. I don't have to do that. I make a lot of money doing what I do. I kind of had that like kind of a snobby attitude about it. But deep down inside, I was like, damn, I could be killing it because I twerk so good. Like, I love taking sexy photos. It feels really empowering to me. And then finally, I convinced a friend to do it. And then right away, she started killing it, making so much money. And I thought, well, I'm already taking all of these photos. I take twerk videos. I know how to pole dance. And there's not a safe place to share that because you can only show so much on Instagram and all these other apps.
You used to be able to show more on Instagram.
Yeah, you used to be, and they started cracking down. So then I thought, okay, I'm just gonna give it a shot and see how I feel. And if I don't like it, I can always just delete it. And then right away, I made so much money in my first week that I was like, oh, I should have done this a long time ago. So that was the summer of 2019.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So I think you and I, oh wow, you've had an OnlyFans for a while actually.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that till now. But I remember that we had talked about the reason a lot of people don't want to make OnlyFans, it has to do with internalized misogyny.
Yeah.
And that is something, I'm still getting a grasp on it. So I wanted to bring an expert because I am by no means an expert.
Yeah.
And when I talk about it, I sound kind of stupid. So we have an expert here.
Yeah, so with internalized misogyny, it's something that a lot of people don't have a full understanding of. Misogyny in general is something that people don't have a full understanding of. People are really quick to get scared of the word feminist or sexist or sexism, but it's something that has been a part of all cultures around the world for centuries, of women being oppressed in different ways. And when women ourselves, when we internalize misogyny, we don't see how it's showing up until it becomes reflected back at us. And a good way for a woman to start asking yourself, where may I be carrying internalized misogyny, is asking yourself what triggers you about other women. So when you see a girl wearing super short shorts and you immediately think she's a slut,
yeah,
just pause and ask yourself, why are you slut shaming her? And even if let's say she was a slut by definition, somebody who has a lot of sex, why is that an issue? We know that these NFL players and these NBA players, they have a lot of sex too, and we don't slut shame them. But somehow, just because a woman wants to show off her body or because she wants to have a more, proactive sex life, then we start slut shaming. And it comes from it's generational. We experience being raised by women, our mom, our grandma, our caretakers who have internalized misogyny. It's also such a huge part of a lot of religions, a lot of cultures. Especially I grew up in a Latin household, so I was raised Catholic, and so anything like I wasn't allowed to paint my nails red because it was considered too sexual or too too sexy, just different things like that. So every culture experiences it in different ways, and OnlyFans and like this new wave of women being super positive with sex and their bodies and with sex work has really exposed how much internalized misogyny women have been carrying. And it's just a general deep internal disdain for other women. And when you begin healing that, when you begin putting in the time to really understanding how detrimental misogyny has been to women for literally all of time, then you can begin to start to have empathy for women, and in doing that, empower yourself as well. Because it's so empowering, it's so freeing to just let go of those things and be able to celebrate and uphold and support other women rather than shaming them for being sexual beings when we are all sexual beings. Without sex, we wouldn't exist. That's how we're created.
And do you think misogyny kind of oppresses women's sexuality as well, where a lot of women are just afraid to express themselves because of our upbringings? And
exactly. Yeah. You said it perfectly. Women, there's a lot of shame around female sexuality. Like I said, with just using male celebrities or male pro athletes, we know that they have super sexual lives, right? And rappers, all they talk about is sex and having sex with all these different women, and that's great. I'm a sex positive person. I fully support that as long as it's all safe and consensual. However, when it comes to women being more sexually active or sex positive, or even just showing more of their body, it becomes shamed so easily, and it's because of religions, cultures, just this really long-standing belief that women need to be submissive, and we need to be submissive in order to be controlled, in order to be and to assimilate into society. And this keeps the patriarchy running, because we live in a patriarchy. Essentially the most powerful people in the world are generally cis, white, hetero men, and that's why women, and women of color in particularly, are usually the most oppressed.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. How do you suggest someone deal, because I think at least I went through a similar situation as you when I was going to start an OnlyFans, where I was like, I could never. Now here I am doing like full-blown porn, but like not you per se, but like that's just the progress of where I was able to realize like, I don't think this way, society thinks this way. Yeah. So how do you suggest women everywhere kind of deal with their internalized misogyny and figure out what they want to do versus what other people want them to do?
Right, exactly, yeah. And it's also important to know that just because you decide to work through internalized misogyny and release your internal shame around your own sexuality so that you don't shame other women, that doesn't mean that you need to go make an OnlyFans, or that you need to fully do like full explicit content on OnlyFans. Like there's levels to it, And it really comes with, one, just educating yourself. That's the first step of everything. So really having a deeper understanding of sexism and where it shows up in your life, and start to being able to recognize that of just the completely different life experience that we have as women, right? Yeah. Us walking to our car at night, we immediately think, I need to protect myself because somebody might try to attack me and rape me. Where a man walking to his car at night is just, I gotta walk to my car. Yeah. It's a completely different life experience. So educating yourself, and then working on developing empathy as well, so you can have more empathy for other women, for sex workers, for women of color, for disabled women, and women from different countries and different cultures.
Definitely, because I think people think my podcast is about empowering women and to kind of make OnlyFans less stigmatized. However, OnlyFans really isn't for everybody, but it's like figuring out who you are to see if it is for you. Exactly.
And I always tell people too that feminism is not believing that all women need to be extremely sexually expressive. Feminism is simply believing that all women have the right to express themselves in whatever safe way that they want to. So that means if you want to fully express yourself and make porn, then fucking do it. If you want to save yourself for marriage, then do that. Yeah. It's just about having respect and not shaming anybody, or not thinking that you're better than anybody just because they do something differently from you. And like I said, with this wave of OnlyFans and girls becoming more sexually empowered and really just awakening their sexuality, it's really just casts a light on how many women need to start this journey.
Yeah, definitely. So we talked about the woman side of things, but internalized misogyny also lays deep in men. And like, if you see a lot of girls' TikTok comments, I think it's like man after man kind of shitting on you for what you wear, what, like calling you a whore, or at least my TikTok comments are comment after comment like that. So how does internalized misogyny affect men?
So with men, it's just plain misogyny. With women, it's internalized since they don't have the female experience.
Got it.
Yeah. So, but with men, a lot of men are so quick to say, they're not, I'm not sexist. Like, I just think that she's a slut. Like, they're really quick to separate themselves from sexism. And at the same time, they don't want to identify themselves as a feminist, which is really interesting, because feminism is not about women having power over men. It's just about women having the same, equal treatment as men. But for men, again, it's really about education. My boyfriend, for example, is a cis white man, and he's straight. He's the most privileged type of person in the world. So when we first started dating, I realized how different our life experiences were, and especially with the kind of comments that like you said, like kind of comments I get online versus the kind of comments he gets online. If he posted me in a bikini on his Instagram, people would say like, oh, your girlfriend's a whore. I can't believe you would date someone who shows her body on the internet, and just so quick to that. But he posts himself fully shirtless, nipples out on Instagram.
Dick imprint showing.
And that's sometimes
dick imprint showing.
But like nobody shames him for that. So his journey of becoming a feminist, I've been able to witness because I've been a massive part of it. So it starts with education and challenging their way of thinking. So he's kind of lived in his little like cis white man bubble of everywhere I go, people are nice to me. People don't really generally try to attack me. And if I want something, I just ask for it. That's not the experience that we have as women, right? So it's been a journey of me suggesting books for him. And there's a book called We Should All Be Feminists by Chimamanda Adichie. And I always recommend that book for anybody who's like, am I a misogynist or am I sexist? It's a great read. And that book made him really say, oh, wow, I didn't understand what feminism was, and I think I am a feminist. And so he started to really shift the way that he thought about other women as well. And just when I'm with him, if we're watching a movie and something in it's clearly sexist, I will literally pause it and be like, what do we have here? Like, let's talk about this. Like, I will use it as examples. And he's like, yeah, you're right. I never realized that, because people just need people to show them and people to teach, people to be willing to teach them without a righteous attitude. It's not about a lot of in any group, so especially in feminism, there's righteous people who are so quick to say like, well, you're sexist, and like just point the finger at them. But people need to learn. So the best way for men to learn is if they can just have an open mind, and if other women or other men who can identify as a feminist, and men who fully support women and sex work and women's sexual expression, if they could just say like, hey dude, that's not cool. You should read this book. You should listen to this podcast, and just start to allow people to start expanding their minds.
Yeah, so like in movies, when you like look at for the sexist stuff, is it like the pick me girls who like need a boyfriend kind of thing?
There's definitely like when there's the pick me girls, or when there's like, I watched The Devil Wears Prada recently, and there's a scene where she's Anne Hathaway's in Paris, and she's with this guy, and they start kissing, and she's like, no, like I don't want to do this, and he just ignores the fact that she says no, and he just keeps kissing her, and she's like, no, really, like I don't want to, and he just completely ignores her, doesn't pause and say, oh, okay, I hear you, and it's just like this whole, and then they end up hooking up or whatever, and she is sad about it, and it's just like right there, it's like this blatant disrespect for when a woman says no, and and them romanticizing it by being like, oh no, it's romantic because he really wants her, he really desires her. It's actually not romantic. It's actually fucked up, because this is showing me that this man who in the movie happens to be a straight white man, the kind of this, not that there's anything wrong with straight women. I love them. I'm dating one.
Yeah.
But it's like this man just having complete disrespect for a woman's voice.
Exactly.
So just being able to start noticing things like that.
Freeze frame really quick. If you guys hear any background noise, there are many orgies, content, stuff going on. We're on a content trip. We're making a whole bunch of stuff. I actually had an orgy last night, so we're out here. But just thought I'd put that little disclaimer in. But great. So boundaries, that kind of goes like with setting boundaries, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That definitely plays a big role in confidence. And how do you suggest people set boundaries and grow that type of stuff, or how do people respect your boundaries?
Yeah. The more you grow in confidence, the easier it gets to set boundaries. And the more you set boundaries, the more confidence you're going to cultivate as well. So it's kind of a chicken egg situation, what thing comes first? It's just pushing yourself to set a boundary. If you can set a boundary with somebody and say, hey, I really don't like it when you make those disrespectful jokes, and I would appreciate if you don't do that in my presence. It's really scary to do that to your friend at first. Terrifying. But once you do that and they just say, oh, okay, and they're able to respect that, then you're like, damn, I can do this. Okay, my voice matters. And then your confidence grows from there.
Okay. You got all the answers here. Well, actually, this is why I brought her on. So something that I think you've done a really good job at, it's embracing your sexuality. And how do you suggest girls kind of start embracing their sexuality, be the sexual beings that they were? I mean, some of them are meant to be, others, it's just like not who they are. Yeah. But like, that's something I struggle with a lot is like, for example, like I can twerk, but like I get embarrassed doing that in public because it's like it's hard for me to embrace that side of myself sometimes. So what's your best advice for girls struggling with the same thing?
Yeah. So embracing your sexual expression, again, it kind of comes back to working on yourself and understanding where those fears are coming from. So in life, you're either going to live from fear or you're living out of love. So if you're living in a place where you just love yourself, you do not care what people think of you, you're gonna move forward in that confidence. If you're living from a place of fear of like, what are people gonna think of me? Are they gonna slut shame me? Are they gonna think I look stupid? Are they gonna think I'm ugly? So understanding that when you make fear-based decisions, like just using the example you just said, you decide, oh, I really want to get up and dance, but I'm not going to because people might make fun of me. Pausing and asking yourself, where did that fear come from? When did I first decide that I was afraid of what people thought of me? And just starting to analyze your fears and work through them. That's one. And the other thing again is education. So when it comes to empowering yourself sexually, there's so many great books about for women especially, like learning about our bodies, like understanding the female anatomy, because the pussy itself is super complicated, and a lot of we don't get taught anything about it.
No, I think, and women, this is why women are so much better at eating me out than men are, because like they also have a vagine, so it's like they already know like the nooks and crannies, and I don't even know, like I'm better at eating vagine than I am at giving head to men.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And it comes with just exploring yourself, exploring your body, exploring what you like and what you don't like, and embracing that journey and understanding that it's a journey. It's not an overnight. It's not like I'm going to be sexually confident and then like you are. It's a fucking journey. Yeah. And sometimes you break down and you cry and you don't feel good, and then some days you feel amazing and you feel like a complete sex kitten and you think you're a porn star. It's like it's a roller coaster of a journey, but it's a beautiful journey, and it's something that I love witnessing in women. And so those are my biggest tips are, one, start exploring your fears, and then two, education. Read books, listen to podcasts, surround yourself with other women that are empowered. When you meet someone and you're like, I like her, she's confident, she's empowered, spend more time with that person.
Yeah. We've been feeling a lot of this on this content trip. It's so fun.
I love it. I love being around empowered women.
It's amazing. So would you say that pole dancing and twerking and all the stuff that you do all sexy and stuff, has it made you more confident in your own skin and confident in your sexuality? It
definitely has, and it's not something that I had the intention of discovering with it. Like I said, I grew up dancing, I did theater, I danced competitively, and so I wanted to find other forms of dance that kind of coincided with fitness. And pole dancing and twerking are two things that just are amazing workouts. They make you really strong. And as I was doing it, I realized that it also overlapped with my sexual expression and just allowed me just like fully tap into my sexy. And it's been amazing. I love it so much. I fully encourage like women, if you have any inkling of like I would love to take a pole dancing class, like fucking do it. It's life changing. It's so good for the soul.
Do you want to go to one with me?
Yeah, of course.
Oh my God.
I have a pole. I just have to set up my pole in my new house, and then you can come over and
You'll be my instructor.
Yeah, I'll give you a private lesson.
We're actually gonna go on a trip soon to deal with some of my trauma, or a roll.
Yeah.
Trip or a roll.
Yeah. We gotta
So we can
decide, do a little ceremony.
Part of it. So these little ceremonies that you do for trauma, because I kind of just brought that up.
Yeah.
Can you explain how you've been in like a controlled environment and kind of help people?
Yeah. So because I'm so into self-development, a lot of that is recognizing your traumas and then working through them. And there's a lot of different methods of working through trauma. There's different types of therapy. I've done hypnosis therapy. I've done lots of different types of therapy. In 2019, I had my first plant medicine experience, which was with ayahuasca. That was the first time I ever did anything. It was not, I didn't, I had not done anything before, like no drugs, 0 drugs in my system. So that was my first time. So I went like into the biggest kind of ceremony you could do. And the healing that I got out of that from this safe, controlled environment was completely life-changing. So it changed my perspective on using psychedelics for trauma, and a lot of things like MDMA. They're created to help people process trauma with people with PTSD, and there's controlled ketamine studies as well. And so from my own experience, I've done a couple of controlled ceremonial settings, and which I've been able to tap into things that I really avoided thinking about, because that's what like mushrooms and like different substances will do, is they'll bring up to the surface like, hey, remember that thing that you've been avoiding your whole life? Let's deal with it now. Yeah. And it allows you to work through it, and when you work through that, there's freedom on the other side of that. So I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah, what's really funny about mushrooms is like, I don't even want to give this guy any credit or power in this podcast, but like I was upset about something that he did. I took mushrooms, 30 minutes went by, and usually this would take me a few months to deal with my emotions. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm fine. Yeah. It's honestly just a way to expedite something that you want to work through. But it's all about the intention, of course, that you have when you take it. Of course. So a lot of people think that drugs are this horrible thing and that alcohol is so much better for you. But something that you've pointed out to me is the fact that shrooms, acid, ketamine, Molly, like all of this stuff is literally meant to help through therapeutic studies and help with trauma and stuff like that. So
yeah, there's a lot of super recent as well studies with MDMA and ketamine as well, where they've done control studies on how it can help people with depression and PTSD. So I much more prefer those substances over alcohol, which is a depressant. It's also it's obviously not good for your liver and everything. I'm not anti-alcohol. I think anything in moderation for whatever, I support whatever people want to do with their life, but a lot of people are so quick to say, drugs are horrible, like don't do drugs, like don't do mushrooms or anything like that, and then they like binge drink like all weekend, and the outcome of that is just like numbing yourself and having a hangover. So it's not great. It's not great ROI. You do mushrooms, you heal childhood trauma, and you drink and you just like throw up and make a fool of yourself. So it's just not great ROI.
I decided to make an OnlyFans on acid, so it was it like makes you make those like snap decisions and kind of like realize things. Like I think I've made a lot of big life decisions on acid and like kind of realized a lot of things. Like it was on acid actually that I realized, like I thought that Arizona, like the school that I went to, made me meaner and like more judgmental and a person who just projected a lot of my insecurities onto other people. And then I took acid and I'm like, I'm going to start trying to compliment people and like dealing with the stuff inside. And it was like acid, like alcohol didn't make me realize that. It just therapy.
Honestly.
And a really fun little tab.
It really does. It expands your mind and, not to be like a conspiracist or anything like that, but it's like, there's a reason why like substances that expand your mind and help you heal are the ones that are banned. And then alcohol, you just go as soon as you turn 21, you go to the liquor store and you could get yourself fucked up. So. Or
14 buy fake and get in trouble with your parents like I did.
Oh my God, 14.
Don't recommend it. If you're under 21. Don't drink. Wink. Sorry. So Speaking of expanding your mind and growing, what made you want to go vegan? And do you think going vegan, because there's a lot of studies with gut health and depression and how you feel, so what has that journey been like?
Yeah, so I get this question a lot. So my vegan journey started out ethical, but not for the reasons people think. It wasn't necessarily something about animal slaughter. Though I had a moment where my dog Coco Puff, who's since passed away, was looking at me while I was cooking chicken, and it just hit me. I was like, why do I eat one animal and then love another one like it's my own child? That doesn't sit right with me. So I started doing some research, and what I found was the amount of grain that we use in Western agriculture is enough to end world hunger over at least 9 times. Like if we were to stop force feeding all these livestock, then we could, end world hunger. Like just like that's how much food waste there is. And so it was really like the food waste issue, and just like understanding how much poverty and starvation there is in the planet that made me want to go vegan. And so as I dove into that lifestyle, I learned, I was already passionate about health and fitness at the time. So I studied plant-based nutrition, and I began that journey. And since then, with co-founding veganfitness.com, veganfitness.com is partnered with a lot of doctors as well. So I've had the privilege of, working side by side by some amazing like cardiologists and like the best gastro doctors, and learning from them and going to health summits and learning how it can help with so many different types of illnesses, and like you mentioned, depression. Like a lot of people, their issue of depression is their production of serotonin. Well, serotonin's made in the gut. So if your gut microbiome is all fucked up, then you're gonna have trouble producing serotonin, and you're gonna feel depressed.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's just correcting your gut microbiome, which you can do through nutrition. And so, I'm not a vegan who judges people. Like if someone eats meat, I think that we're a murderer or a bad person, because I used to eat meat before as well.
Yeah.
But I will say that this lifestyle has only bettered my health, my level of fitness, my gut health, my mental health. It's allowed me to feel more peaceful, because it's not a perfect lifestyle, because even in the process of of them like collecting crops of vegetables, animals die in that process.
Yeah.
It's just the way that we've built our civilization. Animals die one way or another, but if you can live in a way that causes less suffering, it's just a little bit more peaceful.
Exactly. Okay. So did you notice a difference within yourself when you went vegan? Like, I think you said that you feel like a lot healthier. So does that also mean like your mental health, that helped you grow your confidence as well, or?
Definitely. I really struggled. I was diagnosed with clinical depression when I was 12, and I really struggled with my mental health from then since, and it made a huge difference. A lot of it too, like my digestion. Once my digestion improved, I knew that something was going right that wasn't before, and so with that, I've seen major improvements in my mental health, and it's just been it's been a really great journey. I've never struggled with it once. I've never once been like hungry or not knowing what to eat, or felt like, oh, like all I eat is grass. Like it's not like that at all. I eat everything that everyone else eats. I eat pizza, burgers, tacos, like fried chicken, like you name it, I can have a vegan version of it.
Yeah.
But I eat mostly whole food, plant-based, and with that, a healthier gut, and with that, healthier mind.
Great. So she's literally, I'm trying to think, but like debunking what a lot of people say, that like you can't work out and bodybuild and do all this stuff and be vegan.
Yeah, that was kind of my thing before.
Yeah.
That was kind of my thing online. That's what I started out doing. And me and my boyfriend's also a bodybuilder, and he's never eaten meat before.
Never.
He was raised vegetarian, and then he went vegan about 6 years ago. He competed in bodybuilding, and he got his pro card in 4 shows, which getting your pro card is something that takes bodybuilders sometimes like 10 years to do. He got it in 4 shows on a vegan diet. He's been on the cover of Muscle and Fitness. He's in a documentary with Arnold. Like, he's very successful. He's very strong. He has a crazy physique. And, I try to do the same for the women, to represent. But so that's kind of like what we do. That's like our lives, is just like telling people like, no, like you'll be okay with less protein, or like you can get as much protein as you need. Don't worry. It's kind of story of my life. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that I definitely thought I wouldn't be able to do, where like there are people out there who just say, oh, all of my vegan friends are like the least healthy people out there, and it's just like they have no facts to back it up. It's just like when people say like drugs are bad for you, but like they don't really know what they're talking about.
Right. Exactly. And it's also just the vegan diet, like any diet or any lifestyle, can be done wrong or can be done unhealthy, because there's so much vegan junk food. Like you could eat junk food all day and technically be vegan. You could eat Oreos and drink Sprite all day, and that's technically a vegan diet. It's not healthy though. You're not getting any nutrition, right? So just because someone's vegan doesn't mean that they're healthy.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you feel you've wasted the most time in your life worrying about, and what do you find seems to hold others back the most?
I guess I would have the same answer for both, which is worrying about what other people think. Definitely something that I spent too much time on my entire childhood, my entire adolescence, my early 20s. And it's the biggest thing I see with my clients when I ask them, what do you want to be doing with your life? Who is it that you aspire to be? And they want to have a different type of career. They want to travel. They want to do this. They want to do that. And I ask them, why haven't you done it? And it's, oh, well, I don't know what my parents will say, or like my friends in my friends in my hometown. I don't know what they're going to say if I start posting pictures online. And I'm like, your fear of what other people think of you is holding you back from living your best life.
Yeah.
And that's, I'm a, you know, I can attest to that I lived that way as well. And once I stopped giving a fuck what other people thought, I mean, my whole world just expanded.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of the parents, how do you suggest people break away from what their parents think and start living for themselves? But because I think for most people, it is kind of traumatizing to be like, by doing this thing that'll make me happy, I can lose a relationship with someone who's like been there with birth.
Yeah.
Like I almost think I was lucky that my parents treat me like horribly, because it was really easy for me to just do what I want. So actually, even then it was a little hard. So how would you suggest?
Parental relationships are the fucking hardest. And if your parents do not have an open mind, if they're not willing to commit to their own self-development journeys, which means that it will allow them to more and more understand you, then it's going to be hard. And you have two choices, and one is, you know, to detach and wait and see if they come around, if they open their mind. And the other option is that you could be their teacher. And a lot of us are so quick to say, well, they're my parents, they're older than me, so they should do XYZ for me, right? I shouldn't have to teach my parents. I shouldn't have to take care of them. I shouldn't have to. But if you don't do it, then nobody else will, right? And it's also, I sharing from my own personal experience, you know, my relationship with my mom is great, but it hasn't always been. And I put myself through therapy. I did plant medicine. Like, I've been doing this fucking hard work. And now when I talk to my mom and I see her projecting at me or things, I am able to hold space for her and say, hey mom, can I offer you a reflection? I think that you're acting out of insecurity in this way because of your own trauma. And you can let me know if I'm overstepping my bounds. And it's brought us closer together. It's allowed her to heal. It's allowed her to grow. And now she's just become more and more supportive. When I first, you know, like tried to explain to her what OnlyFans was, she was like, oh, like, I don't know how I'm going to feel about that. But now she's just the most open-minded, supportive, like woman, you know, and it's been because I've been able to be her teacher. So, so that's one, like I said, the other option is that you can detach, and that's really hard because we love our parents and we want relationships with them.
So in the case where your parents don't want to learn and you're trying to set boundaries, or, like a lot of people have narcissistic parents, and narcissism usually comes from trauma that they don't want to deal with, etc. So what is your advice for those kinds of kids who don't necessarily have the opportunity to teach their parents?
Yeah, that's a tough one. When you want to be their guide, or you want to show them, if they're not willing to, then you cannot force it. Nobody can force anybody's journey to begin. They have to be willing. They have to be ready. And if they're not, then you have to make the decision to love them from a distance and let them know, you know, I respect that you are not ready to open your mind or to go on this journey or to have these types of conversations with me. But just so you know, as soon as you're ready to talk about this, I'm ready to hold space for you. And let them know that you're going to offer safety for them when they're ready to come forward and like talk about it with you, which I can't, everybody's relationships with their families are different. I don't know if that day will ever come for somebody who's listening to this.
Yeah. Definitely. So being on this content trip, is this your first content trip with a bunch of OnlyFans girls?
Yeah, first one ever.
What has been your most fun activity being here?
My most fun activity? I've done a bunch of, well, okay, so I have had like 5 different girls ask me to teach them how to twerk. And I love doing that. So that's been fun, and exhausting.
Yeah.
Because I'm like getting a full workout when I do that.
Oh, I was like, I was being like creepy and watching you from the distance, like trying not to like photobomb the video, but I was like trying after like a minute. Nope, I'm tired.
Yeah, it's a full workout, but it's been fun. It's been fun to be able to share that with other women.
Yeah, it's great. It's so fun. All right, well, to wrap things up here, are there any final words you want to say to our listeners here?
I guess just if you're a woman, I invite you to just open up your mind when it comes to your sexual expression, and also in supporting other women in their own sexual expression.
Yay! All right, well, plug yourself everywhere.
I am on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter, Bianca Taylor M. And I'm on YouTube as well. Bianca Taylor Fit is my YouTube channel. And everything else.
Well, OnlyFans.
Oh, my OnlyFans is also Bianca Taylor M.
Okay.
Almost forgot about that.
Gotta plug everywhere. For myself, I'm pretty sure I got my Instagram deleted, but hey, pay to get it back. So what is the DEELZ? Is my main one. DEELZ and Dubstep is my backup. My OnlyFans is onlyfans.com/daddydeals, and you can find this podcast on onlyfans.com/DJDeals. Just an all-encompassing, all-in-one. I DJ, I podcast. I do it all. Not really, but I do some things. All right. Thanks for listening.